Alrighty, second part of chapter 9. This one should go pretty quick and easy, only a couple of slides here. So this part we're going to talk about the market economy, or market revolution. So we started off talking about kind of factories and labor unions and things like that. A couple of innovations such as the cotton gin. We're going to start moving into some more innovations. Okay, so state governments are going to pay private companies to build toll roads, also known as turnpikes. And obviously this is not for a car. This is going to be for wagons and things. 1806, Congress appropriated money for a national road built of compacted gravel. So this would be a big innovation right there. The project's going to begin in Maryland in 1811 and reach modern-day West Virginia in 1818. It's going to end in Illinois by 1839. I feel like that's how they do road work today. It takes like 25 years to fix a road. So, you know, considering their tools are much more rudimentary and they literally have to get wagons of gravel to go build those roads. There you go. All right. Land travel was very slow, so states are going to turn to increasing water travel. So the Erie Canal, and I'll show you a picture of that in just a minute, is going to get built in, I don't know the year. I don't know what year the Erie Canal was built. Anyway, it connects the Hudson River to Lake Erie, goes through New York and up in that area. It was an enormous project for engineers and mostly Irish workers. Even today, building a canal is an enormous project. So think about it, you know, almost 200 years ago and the types of tools and equipments they had back then. And it is still in working order. It is still utilized today. It's going to change the ecology of the region as farming communities are built along the waterway, and they're going to exploit the natural resources. It's a huge economic success that's going to encourage further building of canals in the nation. It is a way to travel. It is a way for people to travel. It is a way for goods to travel. By 1848, it is possible to travel an all-water route from New York City to New Orleans. Steamboats were utilized for travel and transport. So as ridiculous as it sounds, that was a much faster way to get down to New Orleans if you were coming from New York. You could go through the Erie Canal, you could make it into the lakes, and eventually into the Mississippi River and travel down the Mississippi River. All right, New York, Boston, and London, capitalists, they're going to invest in the railroad industry, so this is going to be a new innovation of the time. In the 1850s, there's going to be a boom. It's going to expand commerce. Chicago especially is going to grow because of the result of the ability to transport goods produced in the Midwest via railroad. And that is going to be a big drop-off point, and that's going to help Chicago grow. So when you look at a map and you go, why is that crazy city so old and so big? That's why. It is near water. Midwestern farmers could export their crops to the east and to Europe. Factories such as John Deere's manufacturing of farming equipment is going to grow in the region. The Northeast and Midwest had diverse economies, largely manufacturing. You'll have animals and things like that. But the South is going to remain tied to agriculture, and that is going to last, well, into the mid to late 1800s, that the South will be heavy manufacturing. Okay? All right, so these are Western land sales. So you could see 1830 to 1839 where people are moving, and then 1850 to 1862. The amount of land being sold is dropping, but you can see it is moving westward. And we have new states and whatnot beyond by then. So this is a view of the Erie Canal. Oh, wouldn't that be a pretty place to live? All the nice little farm animals and whatnot. So there you go. The Erie Canal. Obviously, it's not what it looks like today, but it's a very picturesque view from the 1800s. Okay, urban population in the United States is going to grow substantially. So our cities and towns are growing. We are getting more states. We are expanding westward. You'll start hearing about Manifest Destiny and westward movement and all that kind of stuff. You have towns growing around factories. So if a factory is built, then a lot of times a town would grow up around that factory. Cities are going to start that started as locations of commerce eventually are going to be manufacturing centers, such as Chicago and St. Louis, and transit centers like Pittsburgh, Cincinnati, New Orleans, and I would say Chicago's a transit center too. Boston, New York, Philadelphia, and Baltimore are going to remain important for both importing and exporting because they are on the coast. But they're also going to become financial centers. Populations are going to grow as a result of immigrants coming to port cities or immigration. New York becomes the hub for exporting cargo, mail, and people to Liverpool and London, England, because that is the closest port city to London. So that is going to get us through the market revolution. We got one more section in chapter 9, basically kind of the social aspects. Alrighty, so I hope you have a lovely morning, afternoon, or evening, and I will see or speak to you soon.